Could you tell me about past lives as well?
Yes. Yeah, I've been teaching past lives for over 15 years now, and yeah.
Okay. So, and you also teach classes on how to do this reading,
yes, I do. I teach at an institute in San Diego, but I also have my own level of teachings. I do workshops on past lives and flower readings, and I also have a 2.5-year, 18-level course on healer's training, where I show people how to do spiritual healing work like I do. Yeah.
Okay, if I wanted to take that training, would I have to come to San Diego, or is it internet-based?
At this time, I'm not as advanced as Steve is. At this time, it's you would come to me. I have right now students in San Diego, Calgary, and Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I downloaded the 18 different levels off your website. And the basic level, number 1, in the description, it's got something really interesting. 95% of all communication is not physical or verbal.
Yes.
But energy and consciousness. Would you elaborate on that, please?
Well, first of all, it's not really 95% like a number. It's just meant to impress you that most of who we are is spirit, having a physical existence. And, you know, I used to be Dean of Administration and core faculty at the California Institute for Human Science, so I know a little bit about the science that's gone into the study of metaphysics. And if you take just your standard atom and you ask yourself how much of that atom is empty space, it's 99.99999% empty. So if you look at your body and you think you see something solid, but most of it is not. So what I tell my students is the light is not the flashlight, that, you know, we are an emanation from a higher level into this dimension like the light. And when the light is withdrawn, then we're no longer here. So we communicate on a very subtle, eloquent, beautiful level, much, much more deeply than how the mind thinks. But because the mind is in this dimension, we tend to rely mostly on what is here, when in fact we're constantly psychically engaging with each person long before the mind ever thinks a single thought.
So basically we're transmitters.
And receivers, constantly. And, you know, a lot of people believe psychic abilities are something that comes to you, like when our ears are meant to only receive sound, but actually chakras work in two directions. It doesn't just come to me as a feeling, but also can project out.
Okay, I mean, we know that as we transmit, we're sending out our own self-image. So
Yes.
other people will treat us the way we think of ourselves. True?
Indeed, and it is like the light. It is out and it's going everywhere at all times, and so everything about you is out there. And so when someone encounters you and they have a vibe, right, good or not so good, right, that's your intuitive abilities, picking up about that person, what is relevant to you, and of course how you choose to interact with that person as well.
And there's a lot of survival issues there. If I'm sending out a signal that I'm a victim, everybody, every bad guy in the world is going to home in on my signal and victimize me.
They can very well, and you might attract someone who is an inverse, who will treat you like a victim until you become strong enough to decide you're not going to react in that way anymore. But we always set conditions and circumstances ahead of us long before the mind thinks. But we're eloquent beings, so our chakras, our higher self is always setting events in front of us that are what's next for us.
So you can walk into a room and people know who you are, even though you haven't even opened your mouth. You've already telegraphed to the room who you are.
Yes, and much more than what you think you're projecting. It's more of the essence of who you are. And depending on the level of the individual in the room, too, they might just see what's on the surface, or they might be able to see you very deeply. Depends on their level of involvement, too.
Well, number 18 on your 18 levels is karma and reincarnation.
Yeah.
Now, today we've heard a lot about Senator Kennedy being laid to rest. Now, we both know that that is a joke. Nobody is laid to rest. In fact, I think the work just starts once you cross over.
Very much so, yeah.
So, what do you think we get up to over there?
Well, in my opinion, most people, when we pass, go to the astral dimension, which is kind of like a 10-story building with many levels. And it is a dimension where you still have a body, but with no internal glands or organs, but some kind of individuation, still male and female, lots of desire, lots of emotions. And the karma of it is sometimes we're very attached to what the quality of those emotions represent. So a person can spend any number of years in the astral dimension. The average, to me, what I've seen is as little as 2 years and over 1,000. But when we come back with a lot of that attachment still we have to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you talked about the multi-levels. Would you say that somebody with really, really icky energy would go to a different level than, sinners and saints have different levels?
Well, it always begs a question. Metaphysics is full of paradox. If in the astral dimension there's no space or time, how can you have levels?
Yeah.
So it messes with your mind. But the way I see it is people with a lot of attachments or a lot of grief or, things that they've done that maybe shouldn't have done will go to the lower levels with a lot of attachment. Yeah.
Well, that would be truly hell. There'd have a lot of bad guys down there. They'd all be vying to see who is the biggest, baddest guy down there.
Well, it could be, yeah.
Not my kind of idea.
Yeah.
So when it comes to reincarnation, what actually reincarnates? Will the point of consciousness I know as me, will I stay on the soul plane indefinitely, or will I recycle back to the earth plane?
Well, to me, it's an emanation, like the flashlight is in the astral dimension, and it shines its light forth and holds you in this electromagnetic bio-bodysuit for a little while. And it's a combination of mission statement, the karma, and free will. So its soul quality is in the astral dimension, but it's bringing forth into this dimension what's called the recapitulation, which is all of the things you've done before you went to the astral dimension and that into this dimension with the most pertinent karma that you have to work out. So it sets conditions, male or female. Are you now mother or brother or son or daughter? Which family, which culture, which ethnicity, which economic set? It's like being an actor on a stage. You're assigned a part, and how you read your script is a definition of your character. But you come into a different lifetime with a pertinent karma so that you, by resolving that karma, you're defining your character even more.
And what happens when you've no more karma?
Well, in my understanding, then there's no need to be here.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I've been counseling people for over 20 years, and sometimes people sit down in front of me and say, "This is my last lifetime. I'm not going to be here anymore." But sometimes I'm looking at them, I go, "Oh, I don't think so. Maybe you come back, maybe 1 or 2 more times."
Yeah, that's what the Hindus talk about, getting off the karmic wheel. I guess you're done.